Hey, today I wanted to talk about a stereotype tied to my part of identity that has followed me for most of my life. The stereotype that people are overweight, lazy, undisciplined, or somehow just less than. I've heard the comments, some whispered, some said straight to my face, you'd be pretty if you lost weight, or have you tried not eating so many carbs? Or my personal favorite, are you sure you want seconds? People say these things like they're offering advice or help. But what they're really handing over is judgment as just as concern. One moment that stands out happened when I was in school. We had to run the mile, which has felt like a cruel social experiment, just disguised as physical education. I wasn't fast, I never claimed to be, but I showed up. I tried, and I crossed that finish line. As I was catching my breath, the girl looked at me and said, "I didn't think you'd make it. I figured you'd give up." She wasn't being mean, honest, I guess, but somehow it stuck with me. Not because I cared what she thought about my time or anything like that. But because it revealed the deeper belief that because I was bigger, I was not capable. The truth is, I've spent my whole life running, just not always on the track. Running to keep up with expectations, running to prove I belong, or running from that little voice that tried to ask, what if they're right? I remember feeling embarrassed, but more than that, I felt angry. Angry that my worth could be measured by a stopwatch or by a scale. Angry that my body could enter a room before I did, and that people always assumed they knew my story just by looking at me. Because here's the part that no one sees. They don't see the late night studying, the early mornings, the determination, the humor, the kindness, or the grit. They don't see how I've worked on myself, my goals, or my dreams. All they see is the body I'm in. And they decide that that tells the whole story, but it doesn't. Being overweight has shaped me in ways I've never expected. It's taught me to be strong. Well, not physically, but emotionally. It's taught me to be empathetic because you know what it's like to be judged. You never want anyone else to feel that way. And it taught me to take up space unapologetically. Eventually, I started to understand that the stereotype doesn't come from the truth. It comes, and it thrives from fear. I fear the difference, fear the things that we don't understand, fear the bodies that not like ours must be wrong, and feel the world feeds on that fear. Every magazine, every before and after ad, every comment about good bodies and bad bodies, it only tells the worth only worthy if we shrink. But here's what I've learned. If you spend your life trying to make yourself smaller, or you can decide to show up exactly as you are, big dreams, big heart, big body, and all. Today I chose big. My takeaway is simple. Our value isn't measured in pounds, it's measured in presence. In the space that we give others and the courage that we give ourselves. So when someone looks at me and sees I'm lazy or unhealthy or unmotivated, I try to smile and think, you could be more wrong, but one day you might be lucky enough to learn who I really am. Thanks.